Isaac, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a little cold, but can't complain.
It's a little on the cool side. There's no doubt about that. But we have an exciting show today.
For sure.
This is the fourth, fifth, sixth attempt, I believe.
Who knows at this point?
Exactly. So, Warrior Nation, welcome Julia Reininga, Director of Athletics here at Southern Western University. We'll talk more about Julia's career here. It was really weird calling her Julia just there. She's affectionately known as Ronnie throughout not just the athletic department, but campus as well.
Yeah.
Ronnie, great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me today, guys. This is fantastic. Hello, Warrior Nation. I'm excited to be on this podcast and to spread a little Warrior knowledge.
This is our second, I guess, first official podcast with
Yeah.
a guest. We did have the intro podcast
Right,
that
yeah.
has been already uploaded, I guess you can say. And so now we're going to bring in a guest, and I mean, let's get into it. How about it, Isaac?
Sure, let's go for
dive
it.
in.
Yeah.
Hit me with the questions.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's start off from the start. All right. Volleyball coach. We'll skip over that. We'll come back to that in just a little bit.
All right.
Because that is an important part. Actually, the reason why you're here at Southern Wesleyan.
That's
no doubt
correct.
about that.
That's right.
But you accepted the position of Director of Athletics around the spring, I guess officially in the summer of 2020. And, well, needless to say, something was going on called COVID.
What? I've never heard of that.
Yes.
Me neither. Gee, what are you talking about?
Maybe it was a dream. I don't know.
I wish it was.
Same.
Exactly. Talk just a little bit about your duties as you took over the position of Director of Athletics. COVID does hit. How did that affect your beginning? You're starting a brand new position, and we have a
Yeah. Well, I think the good news is I was a new athletic director, so I didn't know what I was doing. But then COVID hit, and nobody knew what they were doing. So I think that helped out a little bit. I would reach out to other ADs, colleagues, and say, "What are you guys doing about this? How are you handling this?" And they're like, "We have no idea. This is new to everybody." So it definitely was a interesting time. An interesting way to start my career as an administrator. But I definitely learned a lot, and I think, you know what, if we can get through that, then we can get through anything. Start out with one of the toughest hurdles, and then hopefully, it would get easier from there. But it was a challenge, but because of our team here and everybody just double timing it, I think we pulled it off about as well as you can pull off a pandemic. Of course, we never would like to have that happen again, but now we do have a handbook on it. We have guidelines, tons of guidelines, and we have a system in place if something does happen again. So it was an interesting start, to say the least.
So, question about that handbook. So, with COVID, like, obviously it was very severe. Are you guys applying that to like just like a cold kind of thing? Like is it? Because I know like some of that is happening just on campus.
Right.
If you're sick, like wear a mask.
Right.
Like quarantine type of thing. Are you guys doing that in athletics too?
Well, yeah, but we're not doing the regular testing any longer. That's mandatory. We're also not tracking or doing contact tracing. Okay. Which were the things that took a majority of the time, was making sure all athletes and staff were testing regularly, keeping those records, who's in quarantine, then do contact tracing, who's out, rescheduling games. Which, when it comes to rescheduling games, as you know, being in charge of a lot of things in the athletic department means then travel, officials, student workers. It's just not changing the date. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes then that need to be done and changed. And so, I think it's safe to say we all learned a ton during that time. But yes, Isaac, we do still, I think COVID brought a lot of awareness to us. For instance, like you said, if you're feeling sick, stay home. If you're not feeling well, please, for everybody else's sake, stay home, keep to yourself, wear a mask. Let's try not to spread things if we don't have to.
Yeah,
especially,
it almost normalized it, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, like the whole staying home part.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I think we did learn a lot from it. Even cleaning techniques, stuff like this. But yeah, luckily we aren't having to track everything, test everybody, and all those hiccups.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm having my thumbs up right now. And I'm going to go, Coach Reininga, volleyball, what does this mean?
Replay.
So let's replay. Let's rewind just a little bit if we can. Back to your volleyball coaching days.
Okay.
All right. So let's start Southern Wesleyan, and we'll work back to your previous institution.
Yep.
How difficult was it coaching and director of athletics every single day for a year and a half, maybe?
Give us a day in the life.
Yeah.
It was a challenge, and it was tough because we were in a pandemic, which added extra work for our coaches. So for me as a coach, but then as an administrator as well. So I think it added a lot in both of those areas, and then to try to do them both at the same time. Luckily, the teams that I had during that time when I was doing both were very mature teams. The young ladies were very self-sufficient, which helped a lot. I could tell them to do things, and I knew that they would be getting done and they would be working hard, because it's just sometimes impossible to be two places at once.
Right.
But it definitely was challenging. And then the travel, being away at certain times. And I know, Mike here, he had to pick up a lot of slack. Emily Germain, Lindsay Schneider, other administrators in the department had to pick up a lot of slack during that time as well. So the toughest part for me was just feeling spread too thin, and that I couldn't do what I wanted to do for the team. I couldn't give the team what I felt like they deserved, and that's when I knew, I had to step away from coaching. I had to make the decision to just do one job full time.
How difficult was that decision?
It's still difficult.
Yeah, that's fair.
With volleyball and coaching, and even as a player and a coach being around it, since I was in third grade, this being my first year not being on a team or having a team, it's a challenge. Certain times I'll think, it's all right, and then another time I'll get a little sad and think, man, I miss that time. I miss the time with the girls. I miss the relationships. I miss the goofy bus rides. I miss the funny talks, the funny team meals. But still trying to make that stuff happen with student athletes, just in different ways.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You were talking about, if you're not familiar with Historic Tysinger, our offices are really just outside of the gym.
Yeah.
And it's all one rather large building, so to speak. What was more difficult, hearing the volleyball during the first practice you were not there, or the first match?
Ooh, both were tough. I think the first match, it really hit me. When practices were going on, that was hard, but it still wasn't reality. But then when the game started, it really hit me that, this segment of my life is over for now. I don't know if I'll go back to it or not, but for now, that's the change. The change has occurred, and I'm not coaching volleyball anymore.
Change is good.
Yes.
Change is difficult.
Yes.
Change is very challenging. There's no doubt about that. So
For sure.
let me ask you real quick, and then we'll kind of move into some other areas as well. We talked about COVID and how difficult that was, and you mentioned there's really no manual at the time. Southern Wesleyan, the last 2 to 3 years, has been going through a tough time of transition. In your short tenure as AD, you've served under 3 presidents now.
Yes, that's correct.
So
Wow.
Dr. Voss, Dr. Crothers, and now Dr. Barker,
Yep.
who joined us, I guess, late summer.
Yeah.
And so that is
July.
something that is really not typical. It's not normal. It's not the routine.
Right.
Yeah.
And we faced some budget cuts, some personnel cuts, and things like that. And I know one of the more difficult times during your tenure was when we did, unfortunately, have to cut 4 sports.
Yes.
Men and women's tennis and men and women's golf.
Yes.
Talk a little bit, just as transparent as you can, how difficult of a time that was for you.
It was devastating. It was devastating then. It's devastating now. I think it hurt deeply. It hurt me deeply, and it hurt me to watch other people hurt deeply. And so, that was a very, very tough time. It was, I would say even in essence, a tumultuous time. And, I think it really had an impact on the athletic department as a whole and our university as a whole. And it was, a negative impact for sure. And I want to be transparent on that. I don't want to try to color it in a different way, because it was tough. It was tough, and it still is to this day tough. Every time this morning I drove by the tennis courts and the golf driving range and golf building, and every morning it's still tough driving by those facilities and thinking about the student athletes that we had in those sports, the wonderful coaches that we had in those sports, and now that they're no longer here, and that's not part of our ministry anymore. It's still, I think, is very raw, and it still hurts.
Yep. I remember I used to be a presidential ambassador giving tours to prospective students, and I remember that first tour after they were cut. Because we're out by the admissions building, which is right next to the golf range and tennis courts, and I remember pointing out and saying, "There's our tennis and golf."
Yeah.
And there's a pause there,
Yeah.
and I couldn't,
Right.
I needed, or as a leader in that kind of way, we're not supposed to be negative towards SWU, but in that moment, I just could not hold it in. It was so raw, especially the week after.
Oh, definitely.
And it's still there for sure.
It definitely is.
It impacted the entire campus and community, and it definitely did. One of the positives, and you kind of hit on this a little bit, that I noticed was the maturity of our student athletes.
Yes.
That participated in tennis and golf.
Yes.
Being in compliance, a lot of times they would come to me, the transfer portal and things like that, and just to let them kind of talk about their feelings, but the maturity that I noticed with them, they didn't expect it, they didn't want it.
Yep.
But they accepted and realized that this potentially was a part of life, as well, and part of the growing process, and part of what college, positively or negatively, how it will impact you.
Right.
I did notice that as well. So.
Absolutely, they were the student athletes and the coaches were fantastic. I know they were hurt. I know they're still hurt, and I don't blame them for that. But I think they handled it so well with class and composure. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. But to have some of the student athletes come, and even in the days after, come check on me to see how I was doing was mind blowing. The maturity level, like you said, their empathy, and that was definitely probably the toughest time so far in my time as AD here. But it also, like I said, it taught me a lot.
Yeah, and I also want to shout out the awareness of the faculty as well.
Yes.
I took Theology 1 last fall with the wonderful Dr. Tapper. And theology is a very fast-moving class. Like, we probably go through a unit in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But, like, that day after the cuts, like, he stopped class and we talked for an hour of our hour-and-a-half class about it, just processing it. So, like, he and all the other faculty, too, were very aware of the hurt that there was.
That's, I mean, I think it was a total campus blow.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess a positive that came out of that is that we did come together as a campus and we're there for each other. I saw other teams being there for student athletes, other students being there for student athletes on those teams. Like you said, faculty, staff. So that just shows the love and the family atmosphere in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, we've talked about the challenges you faced. What would you say is your biggest victory so far in these 2 or 3 years?
I think the biggest victory is seeing the athletic department come together and with the teams and the coaches all becoming closer and more like a family. And then in turn, that becoming part of the full campus with students that aren't student athletes becoming a part of athletics. Like not participating on a team, but participating in other ways.
Yeah.
And to me, that has just been very exciting. Our department right now, our staff right now is amazing. I can't believe how blessed I am to have the people that we have in athletics. And yeah, I think the biggest win is that our coming together, deciding that we are going to move forward and we're going to move forward together. And this ministry is going to be stronger than it ever was.
Nice. Let's shift gears a little bit, Hal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do some rapid fire.
Oh,
See
boy.
how this works. We're going to give you one word or a few words.
Okay.
And you've got to just tell us what first comes to mind.
Oh, boy.
All right. Favorite TV show of all time?
The Office. That's terrible, but I'm sorry. That show is so funny. So I'm gonna say, I have to say though, The Office or the Golden Girls, because the Golden Girls.
What a combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It depends on my mood, but if I'm ever flipping through, it just Golden Girls is on. It's stopping on Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Favorite food?
Tacos.
Notre Dame.
Fighting Irish.
President Dr. Barker.
Indy. Awesome.
SWU students.
Amazing.
Christmas.
Love it. Jesus' birth. Hello.
Sport you would coach, if not volleyball.
Ooh. Bowling.
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 Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack that
Exactly.
for a minute. Hold on.
Thank you, Isaac.
Wow.
Yes, please do.
Well, let's see here. I'm not physically able to do a lot of the things that I once was able to do. Like even, towards the end of my career coaching volleyball, at practice, hitting balls at the team, serving, the body ain't there anymore. So, a lot of sports as a coach, you're still going to be out there running drills, so on and so forth. And so I don't think that's really for me anymore. The next thing, I don't like the cold. I
That's
don't
fair.
like dirty.
Okay.
I don't like bugs. So that takes away like the outdoor sports
Right.
for me to coach.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking bowling. I can sit at the bowling alley, watch technique, give a little, maybe even do some filming of technique,
Correct.
go
Yeah.
over some film with some bowlers.
Throw it up on huddle. And
Break
Yeah.
it down. And while I'm doing that, I can have nachos, I can have tacos, I can have my Coke Zero, all at the same time. So I'm thinking that's a that's a win-win.
What would your bowling coaching attire look like? Would you go with a typical bowling shirt?
Oh, for sure.
The shoes?
Oh, definitely, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Pin Shakers shirt right there. Yeah, jersey.
Okay.
Some nice, comfortable pants. And, some stylish bowling shoes.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. This might just be me not being in the bowling world very much, but what's a good bowling team name?
Let's see here. Man.
Stumped, Isaac.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Because you got to have a good name.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean, like I said, Pin Shakers is always, a good one.
Rollers.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
The Strikers.
Strikers.
We'll
have to ponder that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Maybe we can put that out for an audience poll one day.
Yeah.
Right.
What would be if SWU had a bowling team?
Yeah.
What would be a good
name.
for that, outside of the Warriors, obviously?
Yeah.
But you're so busy here on campus of Southern Wesleyan, and in an average year, the spring of 2021, I believe, which is crazy because all the sports are playing.
Yeah.
But typically you're here late at night. You're here on the weekends. What do you do when you're not on the campus?
So I really love water, outdoor stuff. So really anything being on the water, sitting by the water, swimming, boating, all that jazz. I love it. I do really enjoy playing tennis, and I do play golf as well. So some other activities, but also just spending time with, family and friends, and but hopefully that's like on the water.
What do you do about water bugs? You mentioned that you don't like bugs.
Yeah.
What do you do about water bugs when you're out? Like
I go in before they come out at night. Yeah.
There we go.
They don't come out till like in the evening in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually my swimming is done by that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of rumors floating out there, and we can just, since we're shouting everything out right now, let's just go ahead and confirm or deny these two rumors. One, during the summer, if you've had a long, hard day here on campus, it's rumored that as you're going to your house, you're driving up your driveway, you stop the car, you get out, and jump in the lake.
That's true.
Okay. It's also rumored that there's a large dam, I think it's a Queen Dam,
Yes.
that you have slid down the dam into Lake Hartwell. Is this true?
That's true. Yes.
The stories you learn. Wow.
It just takes a podcast.
Yeah.
To get it out there.
After a long day, there's nothing better than getting home, pulling in, not even going inside, just going down, jumping straight in the lake.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Sometimes you just gotta swim around a little bit, clear the head.
Clear
Yeah.
the head. I mean, it's the summertime.
Yep.
The water's warm, cools you off a little bit still.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Yep.
That is nice.
Okay.
As we kind of wind things down, talk a little bit about the future. You don't have to go into your 5 or 10-year plan, but what are some things on the horizon for SWU Athletics that you're excited about? Just kind of share about as we transition into a brand new year, 2023.
Wow.
That's scary.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Sure. So, like you mentioned earlier, we do have a new president, Dr. Barker, and he's been fantastic. We've been talking about athletics and where he wants that to go for the university and what role he sees athletics in the university, and it's going to be an exciting time for SWU Athletics. He sees it as a very big part of the university, of the ministry here. He thinks it's a vital part of the community. And so for me and all of our coaches, that's very exciting to hear, That's what we've been wanting to hear, waiting to hear. So I know, I think some really good changes are on the horizon. I also think that it's very important for the future, and Dr. Barker agrees with this as well, that we are going to stick to our roots and who we are, and that this is a ministry first, not only in name, but in our actions and in our, words, and that is going to stay the most important thing. And so for me as athletic director, I'm excited to hear both of these things, because that's what aligns with where I want the athletic program to go here at SWU. So that's very exciting. So that we're not going to waver in who we are and why we're here, but also, I think we're going to be getting some, support that we have longed for. And so I'm very excited about both of those things. And yeah, I think the future is bright, and I'm just excited to be a very small part of it.
Yeah, and that's something I've noticed even just like in this conversation. You, instead of saying SWU Athletics, sometimes you're just using the word ministry as a direct replacement. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's got to be that first. That's why SWU's here.
right.
So we cannot lose that focus. I think we got to keep that as our most important thing. And so to know that Dr. Barker, that's his vision as well, is amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ronnie, we do appreciate you joining us for our first podcast with a guest.
Yeah.
So I think that was in the books. It's
There
been
we go.
pretty fun. And,
Yeah.
what we're trying to do is just get to know the person. So we appreciate you being transparent and talking about, the challenges of the past, the excitement of the future. And what a great time to be a Warrior. And 2023 is among us.
Yes.
And so a lot of good things out there for Warrior Athletics, a lot of good things out there for Southern Western University, no doubt.
Yes.
Thank you both so much for having me.
Oh,
This
of
has been a lot of
course.
fun.
Yes.
A lot we could have talked about. Maybe we can bring you back.
Yeah.
Maybe, on in the summer sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
Kind of
Yeah.
talk about how the 2022-23 academic year unveiled and finished up. So, Warrior
Absolutely.
Nation, join us again. It's been exciting. It's been a great time here. And Under the Armor will be back shortly.